Okay, women are everything put together. Now we're ready to join the conversation as is happening right now on the Super Morning Show. It's Madam Shalorose taking charge of the airwaves.
It's International Women's Day, and this year we're pressing for progress. And I'm here with some beautiful women to discuss how much progress we're making. So it's my joy and my privilege to see my old mate from Legon, Mrs. Patience Akyianu, who is the current Managing Director of Barclays Bank Ghana. Welcome, Patience.
Thank you.
I also have Nanaba Namwa, the notorious one. Nanaba is here with me, and you know her from State of Affairs on GH1. And I also have Auntie B, who's come all the way from Makala Market to give us another perspective on what's going on there. So welcome, Auntie B. And happy International Women's Day, lovely ladies. And so today we want to talk about women in Ghana. Do you think we've really made progress? It's been years now we've been talking about women making advancements, we've been talking about empowering women, and somehow I still think that the issues we started with are still with us. We still have women not being properly protected in terms of their property rights when they lose their husbands. We still have women being subjected to dehumanizing widowhood rights. Maternal mortality, I think we've made some progress in the past few years, but we still have a lot of work to do. Big issues in the workplace, sexual harassment, discrimination, the glass ceiling. I think the men somehow, every time we make a crack, they go and add more glass to it and make the glass thicker. So really, are we making progress? Political participation, our numbers are abysmal in Ghana. Access to contraceptive and family planning is poor. And access to credit, I'm sure Auntie B can tell us a bit more about that. Access to credit to grow our businesses, women are still struggling. So economic empowerment is bad. So what are we doing wrong, or what can we do better? Where are we, Patience?
Good morning, cherished listeners. And I'd like to wish all women in Ghana a happy International Women's Day, especially to my colleagues in Barclays Ghana and also the members of the Executive Women Network, to which I belong. This year's theme seeks to urge us on, not to lose hope, and to keep pressing on. So ladies, let's keep motivating each other to higher heights. We can do whatever we set our minds to do. And everything is possible. Yeah. It's up to you to make it happen. So to your question, Charlotte, are we making progress? I think it's yes in some respects and no in others. You just have to look at the number of girls going to school these days, and you know that there's progress because more girls are going to school. And actually, in our day, I think girls used to do well, but even more so now. You get a lot of girls topping their classes. In my daughter's school, for example, when it comes to the speech and prize giving day, many of the prizes are going to girls. So we are making progress with education. At the workplace, many organizations are adopting equal opportunity policies to create the kinds of environments that are required to enable talented and capable women to move on. So there is progress there as well. You heard the government commit to 30% of appointments going to women. That is progress.
We've had that commitment for a while now from government.
And you can see some traction in that area as well. But having said all that, I think to a very large extent, we are still being held back by our own social, cultural, religious practices and beliefs. And sometimes even some corporate policies, inhibit women from progressing.
When you say corporate practices, can you give us an example?
So for example, not when it comes to, say, some of the things that you need to move up, we assume that everyone who wants to progress in the organization is a man. And I'm saying assume because, for example, if you have to move outside Ghana to progress in your career, they don't make provision for your husband coming along with you. And many men will not come with you only to sit at home doing nothing. They don't create the enabling, environment for them.
So it's really our own socialization. But I do agree with you. I think we've made some progress. Yeah. I was reading an African proverb yesterday from Zimbabwe. It said, every woman is beautiful until she speaks. So the fact that we are even sitting here around the table speaking, clearly we've made progress.
Yes.
Now our voices are being heard and
Indeed.
we're being recognized.
Yeah.
And we're not assumed to be ugly just because we've opened our mouth. So we've made some progress. But Nanaba, what do you think?
Yes, I think I completely agree with the Barclays MD that we really have come a very long way. There are more girls really in school. My only problem is that despite all the advancements and the achievements we have made, you go to organizations and at the top level, at the executive level, in the boardroom, you still have more men than women.
There's actually the one token female board member.
Yes.
That everybody
yes.
assumes makes up
yes.
for the gender.
And I was sitting here admiring the Barclays MD because she's an MD for a huge bank, one of the biggest banks in the world here in Ghana. And I'm just wondering how many of her ilk are in the executive room when she goes into meeting. Has she got more men or more women? And I'm sure it's the latter. There are more men in the boardroom.
Patience, how many female members do you have on your board?
3.
Out of how many?
Out of 7.
So, no, it's not bad.
4-3.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We are getting there. We are getting there. So I think that we should have more women in the boardrooms because statistics have shown, research has shown that if you give women more opportunities, you tend to add millions of dollars or cedis to the GDP of a country.
Not only that, businesses, just research shows that businesses actually do better when they have more women in executive positions.
So why aren't we seeing that? Why aren't we?
Because the men are
choosing
choosing when to accept the statistics and when not to accept it. When it works for them, the numbers are good. But
I think I want to differ a bit on that. I think this is our time, really. And women need to position themselves for the opportunities that are opening up. There are a lot of boards now looking for women. It's actually a great time to be a professional, capable,
why aren't
talented
they finding the women? How hard is it to
we
look?
need to acquire the skills. I get lots of people coming to me asking me, can you recommend a woman with, say, finance skills?
Patience, call me. I'll give you lots of women. Auntie B, let's hear from you. Do you think women have made progress? What do you think we should be doing?
A lot.
Okay.
Because I'm coming from the market. And with the market, there are a lot of things that doesn't come into the place of a woman. For instance, the woman is really known as a woman in the kitchen. So a lot of things don't go to where she is coming from.
Okay.
For instance, as we are in the market, people come in the market, especially the banks. They come in the market, they talk to us, and then they don't really educate us on what to do. They only tell us we are giving. Yes, they sell their products to us, and then tell us the interest rate, which we don't really understand. But then they will just push it to us, and then they will tell us if you take a loan of about, let's say, 100 cedis, 100 Ghana, there's an interest rate of about, let's say, 5%, which they will not even explain for us to know. So we just go inside, and before we'll be aware, we've run into losses.
Yeah.
So we don't get the information well, and then the education as well.
I think I get Auntie B's point, because the research shows that in the non-formal sector in Ghana, you have more women than men. So I think the progress is that the businesses, and luckily we have a bank MD here, the businesses are recognizing the economic power of women and are taking their services to them. But they are not engaging and educating the women and arming the women with the information that they need so that they can move their businesses forward and, and be more empowered. So, Patience, this is like.
Yeah.
She's giving you all the all the information you need.
With Auntie B, actually, and this is something that we in Barclays recognized way in 2016. So we launched a new social responsibility agenda, which is called Shared Growth, and this is about creating shared value for our shared prosperity. So we actually see, adding value to the communities in which we operate as an integral part of how we do business. and we've gone out there engaging in all sorts of educational activities like financial literacy. And recently, we were out there in the market giving financial literacy training to the Kayayes. So we don't just come and sell our products to you. We teach you how to look after your money as well. And we'll probably come. What markets are you in, Auntie V? We'll probably be there to do some financial literacy training very soon.
Patience, you're not here to plug your business today. You're not here to plug your business today. So we've been joined by the very lovely Sarah Sapwaje, who is joining us in this discussion. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Good morning. Apologies for being late.
No problem. And we know that women, you were probably multitasking or doing something else.
Let me give a shout out to single moms. I'm a single mom. My teenage son was just, trying
one
to
of those days.
One of those
we
days.
Understand. We understand. Happy International Women's Day. And so we're talking about women. I think we started on the path of economic empowerment. Because we have a bank MD and a market queen here, we kind of veered into that. But I wanted to bring it back to the big issues in the news today. And just listening to Auntie B talking, there are recent issues with armed robbery. How is this affecting the women in the market?
Very well. Very much.
Very much.
It's really affecting us. For instance, this morning, around the hours of about 3 something, I was in the market.
3 a.m.?
Yes. Then one woman approached me. He said, can I give her some money to pay her driver? I said, why? Why this time? Paying your driver? He said, armed robbers attacked them right from where they were bringing the goods. So they all scattered. So the little money she had to get down and then pick another car to where she's going. So the original money she's having to pay the driver, she just gave it to the other driver, and then she didn't have any money again to pay for the final destination. It is because of armed robbers attacking them. See, people run
Have they had many attacks?
around the what do you call it? The mountains area. That is the Kuapi Micropone area. That is what this didn't happen today.
Wow.
See, so it's not safe at all. It's not safe.
So clearly, this is having an impact on women, and we know that a large number of households in Ghana, more than the men, are headed by women. So more households are headed by women than by men. So when the spate of armed robbery and insecurity becomes such a problem, then clearly more households in the country are affected.
Yes.
And Sarah just mentioned that she's a single mom. How do you feel about the current state of armed robbery, security?
It's terrible. It makes me very insecure. From the practical point of it, if you want to exercise in the morning to keep yourself healthy, you can't even leave when it's dark.
Yeah.
How do you exercise, come home? And in the evening, sometimes you have to go and see maybe a sick relative or an elderly parent, and you are nervous. You are nervous about driving and coming back even at about 10 p.m. And the worst things, some of these crimes are happening at 5:30 p.m. in residential areas. There have been 2 reported cases in the Ringway estate, which is...
Ringway?
Yes. And both of them happened even before dark. It looks like they were targeted, and so we have to be very vigilant on this thing.
But recently, the government has come up with some plan on how to tackle this. Nanaba, you must have followed that.
Yes, they can give us all the plans. I mean, I've heard the police administration also, speak about what they're doing about it.
You don't think it's enough? At least there's a plan.
No, I don't think it's enough. I mean, when people feel insecure in a community, it is not good. It takes a toll on productivity. It takes a toll on families. Like she mentioned, after 5, you want to go out and visit somebody. You want to exercise. You live in a neighborhood that has very good roads, that is very quiet, very serene. You just want to take a walk. You want to exercise. And you can't do it because you are afraid that somebody could be lurking around and would just, out of nowhere, jump on. it's dangerous. I don't think that we're getting enough from the police. They should be doing more. They did a reshuffle recently. I found the reshuffle laughable. I don't think that is what we needed. We need a police administration that will speak to us and tell us that we've arrested this number of criminals. They tell us they recorded 80 cases of armed robbery between January and February. How many arrests have you effected? How many of them have been prosecuted? How many of them are in court? That gives us assurance. But if
hopefully, we hope the IGP is listening. IGP, the women were not feeling safe
at all.
And women, we are live on the Joy Super Morning Show on 99.7 FM. We're also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. And we want to hear from the women. How are you feeling? And maybe suggestions from women, because we usually have our own solutions. What can we as women do to just make ourselves feel safer and make sure that we don't become victims? Because especially when you talk to women like Auntie B or the ones in the media who have to get to work at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., then it really does create a lot of significant issues for us. Patients can probably tell us how we can move our monies in a safer mode.
Seriously, I think women have to become more security conscious. I mean, these are trying times for all of us. And you need to just take measures to keep yourself and your family safe.
Give us some tips.
So, for example, money. I mean, I'm horrified when I hear of some of the amounts that are kept in the market under people's stalls and stuff like that.
Or they carry on them to get transactions.
I think the banks are available. If you call us, we'll come for your money. And we will take responsibility for transporting it
but last time
to your account.
Wasn't it a bank bullion van that was attacked? That wasn't it?
Well, I mean, so we bear the risk. I'm just trying to make it safe for the general public.
Okay.
Yeah. And we will ensure that we have enough security.
But my thing is, for a market woman who has to go to Akyianu to get and bring stuff, bring goods, how does she move the money?
We need to gradually also move to a cash-light society. You know, we deal too much in cash. You know, creating avenues for robbers to take advantage of.
She needs to pay for the plantain.
Yes.
She needs to put the plantain on a truck.
Yes.
She needs to move then it needs to be transported to a car. How does she pay the plantain seller and pay the truck driver?
Mobile money.
Yes.
So we need to
start doing so mobile money, for example, is one option because many people have phones, and I think it's the best if you're dealing.
And for
with
the women, their
people.
husbands don't always have access to the money on their mobile money accounts, do they?
But we all need to form new habits.
We need to
keep safe,
protect them from the internal and external forces. Okay. So I think it's the police need to be engaging with the public more, and just telling the public what actions they've specifically taken. If they tell us the number of arrests they've made, maybe we would feel safer. And then hopefully do some education so that we can all protect ourselves more. But still on the big issues. In terms of the gender space, the women's space, what's the big issue? There's a story of the sexual harassment in a senior high school in Ejisu. What do you think, Nanaba?
It's heartbreaking.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, heartbreaking that teachers who are supposed to know better, who are supposed to be role models,
who are supposed to protect the children,
supposed to protect the children, take advantage of young girls. It's unbelievable. And I don't know why in 2018 that is happening. For instance, I saw the release from the Ghana Education Service when that story broke. And I felt that in that press release, the Education Service should have held on to the name of the young lady. The name was released not long after people found pictures of this young girl. Number one, she's being victimized in the media. There were media houses that went ahead to publish her name. That is irresponsible. So the girl, number one, started off as a victim. Yeah. She was taken advantage of. And then for society to protect her, that didn't happen. Her name is out there. So for the rest of her life, the internet will not forget. Yeah. Her name and her pictures will be there forever. And so when girls suffer such trauma, and they even go through such problems in schools, they are unable to tell anyone. Because if you tell somebody, they are going to straight away run to the media.
I'm not even sure it's just girls in school. I think even women in the workplaces face the same issues.
But I don't understand why that still happens. A girl goes to the police to report rape, and the first question they ask, why should my choice of clothes be the reason why a man cannot keep it zipped? Why should I be attacked because I decided to wear a miniskirt or a tight trouser or even a bubu?
It's very prevalent because even beyond sexual harassment, if you even talk about women in the public space, they will discuss their appearances and their clothes before they will discuss the actual work that they are doing. And you never hear people do that to male people in the public space, males in the public space. We would criticize a lady for dressing too ostentatiously, not being Islamic enough in her dressing. Yeah. But we never pass that on to the males. I've never had a discussion on any male public figure.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, I see you smiling.
You opened the floodgates for me.
That is her area of interest.
As I was driving here, I was actually thinking, why is it that women in the public space are so judged by their appearance, their marital status, their motherhood status? Then we go to their parenting status, because if they are a mother and they are hardworking and successful, hey, who looks after her children? Her children are neglected. So on every front, the woman is criticized far more than her male counterpart. I mean, I don't know the last time I read a news article that started with the bald-headed minister of state or the pot-bellied minister of state. But you see,
they're shabbily dressed.
Yes, but we are always judged on certain factors which really are irrelevant to the work we are doing.
And then for most women, they'll ask, so what does your husband do? I get that a lot. I never had it asked of any male in the public
field. Interviews, you get asked what your husband does.
What does my husband do? Yeah.
Wow.
How relevant it is, you don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
If you have children, you're a bad mother. If you don't have children, that's the witch walking there. Yes. So yeah, we women, we really do have a lot. But hey, ladies, we're still waiting to hear from you. Yeah. Please send us WhatsApp messages. Yeah. You can reach us on Twitter, on Facebook. We're live on Joy FM 99.7. This is the International Women's edition of the Super Morning Show. And this year our theme is Press for Progress, and we're certainly pressing. We're also live on JoyNews TV. We're live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. And of course, you can reach us on Twitter and on all the social media handles. So
I'd like to just share another perspective. I think, I find the issues of sexual harassment alarming, and I'm distressed by it. But
with this school one, if we can zero down on this school issue, what can we do? What should we be doing?
So I would take it from the empowering children, not just girls, boys and girls, to stand up, for themselves.
But these girls have tried to speak up, at least at the committee level, and they're being victimized for speaking up.
So I'm trying to address not just this incident, but look at it broadly and tackle it before it becomes, so we can avert or we can minimize the incident. And I'm thinking that at home, we have responsibility. Even that teacher has a mother. What goes through my head is, what role did this mother play in making their son think that, yes.
But you see, your comment just, what role did his mother? Why are you putting it on the mother?
Where's the father?
No, okay.
What role did his father
because
he's a man.
Woman. Oh, no, because I'm a woman, so I'm seeing it from my point of view. But yes, it's a valid point. I'm talking about home. So home is both
the socialization.
Yes, exactly. So socialization, from home. And for me, it's about handling that, not just focusing on the girls, because I have both a girl and a boy. I'm not going to leave the boy, because I don't want the boy to turn out to worry somebody.
No, but I think I get your point in the sense that your son would not come home with that kind of story. That's your point.
Yes. No, yeah.
Because you wouldn't want to come back home and meet...
He should not. Yeah. And I have a responsibility as a mother, to ensure that I inculcate in him the values that will make him grow up to be a responsible person.
But my concern is beyond all that. So I send my child to school, and I have 2 daughters. I send my daughter to school, and she is abused by a teacher who is supposed to be protecting her.
Yes.
What action should we be demanding as women on behalf of this young girls. Because you see, if it doesn't stop now, when is it going to stop? We're going to come back next year and be pressing for progress. We need to start demanding actions that bring an end to this now. I would have hoped that at the very least, some action would have been taken to make sure that these girls are not in contact with these teachers on a daily basis. Because I'm putting myself back to being 15, being 16. I could not survive having to see teacher. And you know, the teachers, they're kind of like, they're supporting each, you know, it's a group. How does this child feel getting up in boarding school every day and having to go to classes and face teachers that you've gone to testify against? These are not adults. These are kids. So what actions can be taken? Auntie B, let's hear from you, please.
Let's go down to the school, and then let's view or look at it in this way. Who are international, NGOs? Who are they? What are their work? You see, in as much as the doctor cannot operate on his or her child or her wife or his wife, in the same way, the mother cannot talk directly to her girl child about sex.
Really?
Yes. In other words,
why?
What I'm trying to say is that it is not our Ghanaian culture. It is not our culture. When you go to the European countries, it is very open. The woman can talk to her child, the girl child or the male child. But when you come to Ghana or Africa, let me specify it's Ghana, we feel it is very, no, it's not even a taboo, but it's a disgraceful something when you are talking, when you are dealing with your girl child, let's say between the ages of about 13 to about 15 or 16 years. They don't really know what they are doing. So I think the workload should be imparted to the NGOs so that they will go into the school. Now, dealing with somebody you don't know, and then the person teaching you about sex, you don't really feel bad. You just,
like with a parent.
Yes, you just accept it the way.
It's an interesting perspective.
Yes, you
but
see.
I understand where you're coming from. So we should be encouraging the international NGOs to talk to the young girls.
Yes.
Do some sex education, educate them on how to protect themselves.
Yes.
But I also think that maybe it's time
teach them what they have to do when such a thing
happens. Yes. But I also think it's time that as women, not just as mothers, as women, we should probably be reaching out to these young girls. If you can't talk to yours directly, there's another woman who can talk to her. But we need to take on the responsibility and be teaching these young children, because even the males are being abused now, how to protect themselves better in the face of sexual abuse. But I still think that when you have an unequal power situation like we have with teacher and student, something needs to be done immediately to protect the kids from these teachers. And I think we should be demanding some action from all the authorities concerned, from the police, from DOVSU, from the Ministry of Children, Gender and Social Protection. This is where the social protection really comes to play. From the Ministry of Education and even from the Ashanti Regional Ministry. Something should be happening. And I'm surprised that we're not hearing the voices of all the usual, the clergy, the chiefs, the NGOs. They need to be speaking up now.
Silent.
They need to be speaking up. We need to take some action on this. Okay. So what are the other big issues that we should be talking about in Ghana today?
Well, I think that we continue to celebrate International Women's Day every year. We meet, we discuss what we have done so far and where we want to go. But I feel that the education and the awareness is so centered on the urban areas. You go to the rural areas and they are still living with very old practices. They call it cultural practices, and some of them are so demeaning. For instance, in 2018, you still have girls in rural Ghana using rugs when they menstruate. That is unacceptable. They're using rags and very unhygienic materials when they menstruate. You still have communities in Ghana in 2018 where a woman is barred from cooking when she's menstruating. She cannot cook for her husband. She cannot go to the farm.
Cooks for him?
He eats from other homes, from other women.
What is his relationship with those other women?
Only God knows. But unfortunately, the women in these communities accept this. And so if you're menstruating, you can't go to your farm. In some areas, it's a taboo to cross a river. So for the women who have to cross a river to access their farms.
There was a big story about the
in the
school girls.
central region.
The school girls.
Yes.
Who can't go to school every month in some days because
exactly.
they're unfortunate enough to have their
Exactly.
periods.
And it is not healthy. For a girl who is menstruating, number one, she hasn't got access to sanitary pads. She's using rags. So
and then she must miss school.
She will miss school because when she goes to school, she'll soil herself and the boys will laugh at her. So she's too shy and afraid to go to school.
But I'm even more concerned that she cannot go to school. And I'm wondering that these river gods who are so offended by the menstrual cycle, even for murders and bigger offenses, the schnapps and the goat seems to cure it. So why can't we just give them schnapps and goat every month so the girls can go to school?
Yeah. So my point is that we should take the conversation outside Accra, Kumasi, and the big cities to the villages, to the rural communities.
I think the problem is that even as we're talking, even in Accra and Kumasi,
we still have problems.
We are talking about issues in Accra and Kumasi.
But at least we should bring the rural people to where we are now.
I totally get you, but I think my point is that it's not as if we've even made that much progress in the Accra and the Kumasi. We're talking about armed robbery and how it's affecting women. We're talking about Ejisu. Ejisu is Kumasi. And even there, we're having these issues. I can't even begin to imagine what is happening in the rural areas where there's no spotlight. But we need to take a break, and when we come back, we really need to start talking about what are the solutions. Is it that in the rural areas, let's contribute money and give these river gods their schnapps every month so that the girls can go to school? Or we start thinking about how do we get schools into those communities? How do we get sanitary supplies for the young girls? But we need to move ahead. We need to make some progress. There's a proverb that says that women hold up half of the sky. And it's like we're struggling to hold up our bits, and the men are kicking our legs, and then the sky, half of the sky is falling, and then we get blamed when the whole sky caves in. So really, I don't know how we're going to make progress on this, but we're certainly going to try. We're pressing on, aren't we, ladies?
Yes, we are.
So we'll go on a break, and when we come back, we keep pressing for progress.